think landlords should have to provide references to tenants to prove what they're like as a landlord?
If you could see how your landlord had been rated by previous tenants, do you think you still would have gone with them? One comedian in Australia may have come up with the answer. Tom Cashman asked his landlord to provide his own reference after he'd been approved for a property.
I said no worries. I was asking whether the owner would provide a reference written by a previous tenant of theirs recommending them as a landlord. I found this is an effective way to find out if an owner is good to their tenants, and it seems appropriate as I've already provided a few references to them. Let me know.
After asking for a reference, the landlord denied this to Tom and even withdrew his application to the property. Word then got around and more landlords wouldn't rent to him, even though he didn't mention asking for a reference. But Cashman's TikTok campaign blew up, and many tenants and landlords agreed with him in the comments about why they think this is a good idea. The idea gained so much traction that in March 2022, Michael Patterson, a member for the Australian Capital Territory Legislation Assembly, brought forward the idea as a motion for legislation in Australia, basically meaning that he brought it forward to be a law. He argued that landlords know everything about a tenant from their income to the rental history, but tenants don't know anything about their landlord, especially their treatment of previous tenants. It's unfair. Although it wasn't passed then because it needed time, it did raise awareness between the imbalanced relationship between tenants and landlords. Cashman and Patterson's idea was backed by industry bodies though, such as the Tenants Union of NSW and the President of the Real Estate of Australia, and also by other political parties such as the Greens. So you're probably wondering, how does this apply to Cymru or Wales? Well, people in Wales are still having problems with their landlords too, even with the Renting Homes Wales Act 2016, which starts to remove the power imbalance that Patterson was fighting against. Tenants are still reporting issues with their landlords. In TPAS Cymru's second annual All Wales Tenant Survey, it found that tenants wanted better communications with their landlord, such as reasons like they weren't being told when repairs were happening in the house. And in the most recent All Wales Tenant Survey, it was found that some private renters are too scared to ask their landlords for repairs in case they increase the rent or evict them. Well, surely knowing how your landlord had previously reacted to other tenants' requests would help alleviate some of the concerns that tenants have. Other advantages to a landlord reference would be, well, it's fair. If a potential tenant has to give one, why shouldn't a potential landlord? And also, it's a red flag if a landlord says no. If they can't or they won't, why not? But there may also be some disadvantages. One reference might not reflect the whole portfolio and therefore it might not be accurate. Or it might slow down securing the property for a tenant as that's extra admin work for an agency to do. Moreover, there might be privacy and data protection issues as you can't give a new tenant an old tenant's details, but then if the name isn't given there, how do you know it's accurate? We asked tenants in Wales, would you have still gone with your landlord if you'd seen a reference before moving in?
I would have, because I've got a very good landlord, but I've seen so many horror stories of people who've had rats and mould and damp, so I think it's a really good idea to see the reviews of your landlords before you go with them.
100% no. Literally a couple of days ago, a previous tenant came to collect a parcel, and she was just talking to us about how the landlord's literally having a nightmare, not giving back their deposits, and there used to be lice, and my mold situation is absolutely dreadful, and yeah, I'm really ill.
So obviously it's important for tenants to see these reviews before they move in, but what are the options to make this actually happen? Well, in Australia, websites have emerged such as ratemyrental.com, where tenants can publish a rating online of their landlord. In the UK, there are also similar websites, such as rateyourlandlord.org.uk and Rate Your Landlord Cardiff. So the demand is there in the UK and Wales. The only problem is these websites are not always verified tenants. So tell us in the comments, what do you want to be seen done? Should Wales be having the same conversation as Australia?